Yeah, hi. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the class. And today we're going to start with chapter number 3. So, how are you all doing? I see some of you have joined, but let's just wait for others to join in also before we start with chapter number 3. Uh, how was chapter number 2? If all the concepts are clear to you, just tell me that all the concepts are clear. If there is any problem, you can ask me. If there is a problem, anything. Any problem? Okay. Quite a lot of you have joined. Great, great, great. Raj, no, phrases and clauses are not difficult. It's just that the phrase doesn't have a phrase doesn't have a verb. Okay. So it is not complete because to make any complete sense of group of words, you need to have a subject and need to have a verb. Right? Without that, you cannot make any sense of anything. So which is why, but anything that makes sense to you has a subject in the verb, that is a clause. Good morning, everyone. That's it. And then you don't have to stress too much on phrases and clauses because in exams you won't be asked about phrases and clauses. So don't worry. In case of either or neither or, you use singular verb. That's it. But if there is a plural, then if there is one singular and then plural, you choose whatever is nearest to the verb. You choose a verb accordingly. No, you're not late. You're not late. Okay, so let's start with the next chapter, which is vocabulary. Now, we are done with the grammar. The next thing, which is very important for any language, is the vocabulary. Now, what is vocabulary? Right? It is the knowledge about the words that we can use. Okay. The number of words that we know is our vocabulary, is a base of our vocabulary. Okay, so vocabulary is basically the words that we know, and the more vocabulary you know, the better it is, of course. The knowledge is very important because otherwise, how will you express yourself in a certain language if you do not know the words to use it? You know how to use certain words. Weightage of which chapter? Vocabulary? I think from both you get questions for 4-5 marks each. Right. So, vocabulary is very important in terms of expressing yourself. You need to know the appropriate words to be able to express yourself about it. Am I clear? Now, vocabulary building is not a one-day process. It's a constant process, and there are a number of ways you can actually increase your vocabulary. Now, when I say vocabulary, what do you mean by that? Now, for example, you use the word happy, right? Now, happy is a very basic word. In certain situations, so you have different words that also mean happy, right? And you can change the words, different words in different contexts and different situations and different languages, like, delightful, ecstatic, right? uh, there's so many other ways of saying happy. So when you have this knowledge of different words, right, then you are able to basically express yourself in a better way. You can impress others. And, at times, the other words express and fit it in the situation better than the other one, right? So you choose your words very carefully. Second, if you do not know the knowledge, if you do not have the knowledge of vocabulary, so one, you won't be able to understand what the other is trying to say, what the other person is trying to say, right? So somewhere the meaning will be lost, and you won't be able to get what the other person is talking about. Secondly, if you use certain words and you do not know the meaning of those words, you might convey a wrong message to somebody, right? In the same way, you can misinterpret somebody's message, right? So you basically need to know about language, vocabulary, to be able to have a knowledge, or to be able to have a grip over to have a grip over language skills or communication skills. Are we clear? Yes. Joy, glad, yes. So there's so many ways of saying you're happy, right? Different situations, you can use different words. Am I right? Yes, it is very essential for good communication skills. Like I said, that even if you do not use it, there's so many words that we hear every day, but we don't know how to use them because we don't know their meaning, right? So you know understanding the words is also very important. You need to know the meaning of the words. You need to know how to use those words in a particular situation or particular sentence. You can't just keep sticking the words wherever you want in a sentence. You should know how to use particular type of word in a sentence as well. Are we clear? Okay, so shall we start? Can I share the PPT? So we are on chapter number 3. Okay. Now, vocabulary is also called as word stock, lexicon, lexis, the other ways of saying. Now, vocabulary knowledge requires not only the knowledge of word meanings, but it also requires a usage of the word in the appropriate context in a natural way. Now, what is a natural way? So, when you learn about any word and about the usage, you learn to use the word in a in a particular sentence, in a particular style, and if that word is a positive word or a negative word, and how to use it. So it should come natural to you. It should not come like you just have to use and flaunt your vocabulary, right? And the more you understand about the word, the more natural it will become for you, right? Now, it's a fundamental tool of communication. If there are no words in a language, then how would you talk, right? Uh, because we are able to talk to each other because we have words to speak, right? So if I do not know what to speak, if I do not have a knowledge of vocabulary, then how will I teach? How will I speak? How will I communicate to you for anything? Are we clear? This is a fundamental tool. Uh, Grammar is applied to words, right? Where you basically arranging the words according to the rules. right? If there is no vocabulary, then where will you use grammar to, right? So this is what it means. Now, why vocabulary is important? Now, vocabulary is important for all of these reasons. One is comprehension. Now, when I say comprehension, it means when you're reading something, when you're listening to someone, if you do not have a good knowledge of vocabulary, then you won't be able to understand the other person. You won't be able to understand the context or the meaning or, mood, tone, how the other person is speaking to you, right? What the person is trying to say something to you. Now, for example, you do not know the difference between the words that mean positive and negative, right? And somebody's being rude to you, and somebody's passing some sarcastic comments to you, but you have no knowledge about the words that the person is using and the way he's speaking, then you won't be able to understand that the person is being sarcastic to you, if a person is being negative to you, right? And similarly, in business communication, when you're talking and you're participating in a particular meeting, or emails being exchanged, if you do not have a knowledge about vocabulary in the language, then how will you understand what the other person is saying? Then half of the meaning will be lost. You won't be able to understand the meaning, so half of the meaning will be lost, and henceforth whatever discussion takes place is going to be meaningless, because the important points were lost or left because of lack of the knowledge of vocabulary. Are we clear? Articulation. Now, articulation is basically when you articulate something, you are able to express yourself. One second. Now, articulation means that you are able to basically produce what you mean, right? And the more words we know, the better it will be for us to express ourselves. We will be able to express ourselves even better. But if we do not have the knowledge of vocabulary, then we won't be able to express, or we won't be able to, frame our message that expresses whatever we want to say completely, right? Now, ability to grasp and think more logically. Now, for example, you're reading a document, right? It's a very important project file that you're reading. And you are not, when you're reading, you feel that there are half of the words that you don't understand. Because of that, whatever that project file is trying to tell you about that project, you won't be able to understand. If you do not understand what is there on the documents, then how will you think logically then what needs to be done and what actions need to be taken? Are we clear? Engaging conversations. Personally or professionally, communication skills are something that impresses somebody in first instance. Like nobody is going to see who you are, from where you are. Your communication skill says everything about you, right? What kind of a background you're coming from, what kind of education background you have, what kind of a professional background you have. Everything you can basically express in the way you talk or you present yourself, right? Am I clear? So in that sense, to have an engaging conversation, what do you mean by engaging conversation? Like, one-on-one, interesting conversation. When two people are talking, they're so interested in talking to each other. That is called engaging conversation. So engaging conversation is basically comes from good language skills, right? So if you have good vocabulary, if you know how to talk well, you will be able to hold up somebody's attention and you will be able to talk better. Clear? Yes. Now, if you're holding an engaging conversation, of course, you're creating an impression with somebody. If somebody likes talking to you, if somebody is enjoying the conversation with you, you are already making a good impression. Do we talk to somebody whom we don't like, or whose communication skills we don't like, or we think that, no, the conversation with this person will not be good, right? So in that sense, you create a lot of good impression. Especially it comes really into use when you are talking to somebody for the first time for business, right? If you can create, first impression is the last impression, we all know that, right? So if you're able to express, or if you're able to impress somebody in first go, nothing like it. Yes, now how do you do that? By using good vocabulary, by having a good grammar skills, good language skills in totality. That's how you impress somebody. Now, there are three types of vocabulary words. Okay. Uh, as we grow, basically, we start learning words from ever since we start understanding them. Even before, uh, even before speaking, we are able to understand words. As a child, uh, I would say not even child, even the animals understand. When you repeatedly use few words, the other person starts understanding. If you tell a dog to sit, they understand what sit is. And whatever vocabulary you teach to the child or dog, your pet of yours, a child starts learning whatever conversation is happening in the house, whenever a mother is saying something, whenever a father is saying something. So we basically, in our mind, our vocabulary starts building from very beginning, right? Schooling comes quite later. And automatically the child starts speaking and reciprocating also in few words. That's how the vocabulary is built. Now, we have three kinds of vocabulary, which is basic vocabulary, high frequency vocabulary, multiple meaning vocabulary, subject related vocabulary. Now, high frequency vocabulary is the words that we use frequently. Yes. Now, there are few words that is a basic vocabulary, the words that we use in everyday language. Basic words, I would say basic words is like and, alike, eight, as, these are all words, right? Basic words. Then comes the high frequency words, the words that we use quite a lot of times in our conversation, and then multiple meaning vocabulary, the words that can have different meanings also and can be used in different meanings. Then there's subject related vocabulary. So CAs have their own words, vocabulary that they use amongst each other. Doctors have their own vocabulary that they talk to each other. So they're subject related. And whatever profession you are into, you learn those vocabulary words for yourself. Are we clear? Yes. Any problem still here? Ritu, articulation is the way you frame your, idea, how you want to present your idea while speaking or while writing. That is articulation, and how smartly you want to express yourself, where in few words you can actually express what you want to say. So articulation is also an art, to be able to express yourself, to be able to make yourself understood by others. That is articulation. Now, any problem still here, guys? Words that have different meanings? Simple. Okay, can we move on? See, high frequency words are those words that you use a lot of times in your daily language, like, the, and, as, these, but. So these are the words that you use so many times, even in a single conversation, right? That is high frequency. Multiple meaning is that words that can be used in different contexts. For example, the word sound, right? Now, sound in one sense can be used as like sound, or sound that you hear. The other way of sound is saying is that you're in a good state, or you're good condition, you're in a sound health, you are, or sound sleep, somebody's sleeping well. So you use one word in so many other ways, right? So that is a multiple meaning vocabulary. Okay, next. Now we have types of vocabulary. Now this is also very interesting. We have listening vocabulary, we have a speaking vocabulary, we have reading vocabulary, and we have writing vocabulary. Now, listening vocabulary is basically when there's a type of vocabulary that you refer to the words we hear and comprehend. Most adults can identify and comprehend almost 5 lakh words. Is it 5 lakhs or 50,000? No, it's 50,000. So most of the adults can identify and understand 50,000 words, right? This is the basic we know, and we have a knowledge, and we understand so many words, right? So listening vocabulary is basically the words that we listen from, you will listen and we grasp, our mind grasps. So this is why it's oral and it's receptive. Oral because you hear them orally, listening, it's an oral activity. And receptive is because you're receiving it. While when you're listening the words, you are basically receiving the words, right? So I think listening vocabulary is the first thing that we do. Like I said, like as a child also, the child starts listening to the words that the mother is using, the father is using, the family is using, and starts grasping those vocabulary words, right? Whether it's Hindi, English, whatever. Then comes the speaking vocabulary. Now it says that no matter, even if we know 50,000 words, we barely use 10,000 words out of that, right? Now, why number of words during speaking is far less than listening? The reason is the comfort in usage. We listen to the words, okay, we grasp it. But while we want to speak those words, we want to use in our communication, we either get confused with the meaning, we get confused with the pronunciation, we can get confused with the usage of the word. So we don't know basically what to do with that word. At times you want to use a word and you're not sure if that word will fit into this conversation or not. So which is why we end up deleting that word, like, and telling ourselves that let's not use this word at all. Right? So this is why our listening vocabulary is 50,000 words and speaking comes to 10,000 words. Are we clear? Now, it's oral and expressive activity because oral means you are speaking, right? It's an oral activity. It's not a written activity. Expressive because now when you're speaking, you are basically expressing yourself. Clear? Okay. Next comes the reading vocabulary. Now, reading vocabulary is a vocabulary where you learn about words while reading. Okay. Now, reading is an amazing activity. I think we all should read because reading actually teaches you a lot about the usage of the words also. It's not only that you only learn about the words, you also learn how to use the words. Clear? Next comes the okay, reading vocabulary I told you. Now, reading vocabulary is basically the second largest type of vocabulary because uh, we either learn, obviously, we either grow our vocabulary by listening or reading. So, reading is the second largest. Then comes the writing. Now, writing is basically when you represent the words we use while writing to express ourselves. Our writing vocabulary is intensely affected by the words we can spell. Now, you can pronounce a word, you know the meaning of the word, but you don't know how to write the word. Somewhere you are confused with the spellings. If you are not confident about spellings, again, you will not hit the words, right? So you will miss out, or you will, avoid using those words because you think that you cannot basically express yourself. Are we clear? Yes, everyone. Any problems, you can ask me, otherwise I'll move ahead. Are we clear? Divya, the difference between reading vocabulary and writing vocabulary is that reading vocabulary is a vocabulary that you grasp while reading. You read the words and you start picking the words and grasping in your own for your knowledge, right? The words that you learn from reading. And reading is the best exercise to teach you vocabulary words because, like I said, what you learn about the spellings straightforward. Uh, The other thing is you learn about the usage, that how the word is used in a particular context, right? Now, writing vocabulary is when you basically write the words that you know, you express yourself. That's written vocabulary. Now, like I said, in listening and reading, you grasp a lot of words. That's a receptive activity. You receive a lot of words, right? But while speaking and writing, that affects a lot in your comfort of your usage of the words. You know how to use the word effectively. And the third thing is the spellings when it comes to writing. If you're not sure of the spelling, you will try to avoid the words to avoid any mistake in your writing skills, on your email writing, in your documentations, anything. You basically avoid it. Clear? Now, how can someone increase their vocabulary skills? Now, what is the effective ways to build the vocabulary? When I say beware of words, now what is beware of words? Beware of words is basically, it's impossible for somebody to know all the vocabulary words. Is that possible? No. Nobody can know all the vocabulary, the entire vocabulary in the world, right? So at times what happens is when we are reading, if I'm reading, if a sentence has like 10 words and I don't know the meaning of one word, I will try to find the meaning of the word from within the context, right? What this word would mean, right? So beware of words means that when you are reading, you need to have awareness of each and every word. Now, if you do not know the meaning of one word, you can at least try to find out by reading that what it could mean, right? And then later you can check in the dictionary that what you thought, was it right? Just to confirm yourself. Because uh, at times you might be wrong too in interpretation of the meaning of the word. So beware of words means that if you know words around it, then you will be able to reduce the meaning of at least one word in a sentence. But if you do not know so many words in a sentence, then how do you find the meaning of that one word that you don't know? Then you'll have to keep looking at the dictionaries again and again, right? So you need to be basically beware of the words. Any problems, anyone? Okay, next comes is reading. Now, of course, reading is the most helpful activity for building the vocabulary, and nothing else would work the way reading will. Am I clear? Read newspaper, books, journals, anything that you like. Read any kind of novel you like, any kind of novel. I mean, you just need to be sure that the language skills of the author is very good. But besides that, you can actually use any book to read to build your vocabulary. Okay, whatever interests you. The idea is to keep you make you reading all the time, right? Use a dictionary, a thesaurus. Use dictionary because dictionary will basically help you to find the meaning. You need to be sure of what the word means. Okay, so you always use dictionary and always use thesaurus. And you open thesaurus, you find the meaning of the word. Second is in thesaurus, there are pretty good activities. You can actually find the other words that mean the same. You can have this entire list of words that what this word means, right? Clear? Maintain a journal. Now, what is maintaining a journal? Now, this I'm sure your English teachers have told you ever since you have been studying English that maintain a notebook, write down the difficult words in it, so that later you can use those words. Okay. Initially what people used to do nowadays, I think these exercises are somewhere getting lost because of this internet. Earlier, people used to actually read newspaper, mark the 5 difficult words of the day, find the meaning, and try to use those words in their daily language. That's how they used to build their vocabulary. Yeah. Nowadays, these exercises are meaningless. It's lost because of internet. Now nobody wants to take so much of effort. Everybody wants to just take out their phone and find out the meaning. But that used to be actually very helpful. Okay. Use new words. Whenever you learn a new word, use it actively. Because the more you will use it, the better it will be for you. You will become used to. If you think that, okay, I've learned about this new word and I'll see, you don't want to actively use that word, you will never become habitual of using that word. You will never get into the habit of using that word in your language skills. So always, whenever you learn a new word, find an opportunity to use it actively. Clear? Study new word regularly. Now, it's a simple process, but it involves constant efforts. You should keep studying new words, memorizing them, You should have, to initially to start with, you can have one fixed schedule that, every day you have to learn 5 words or 6 words new, right? You pick up 2 3 articles from really good journals. You can just take out the basically articles, and then you can read it, and then you mark the words every day. Not every day though, at least in every alternate day, right? You should do that so that you add on to the new words in your vocabulary. Now, go back to the roots. Go back to the roots means, every word has a root word, right? We will be studying about the root words. Now, root words is that, some words are taken from Latin, some words are taken from Greek. So they have their roots. And, at times there are some prefix and suffix, some words that are added before the word and later the word. They mean the same. So when they add to some of the particular words, they all become the same somewhere. We will be studying about it in the topic when we're discussing the roots. Attempt word puzzles and play word games. Now, this used to be again a very age old activity where people used to play crossword with their family members, with their friends, so that they basically built their vocabulary, and then they can use the words that they know. It used to sharpen their skills for vocabulary. So, and these days it's much more easier because now you have these games on the phone, you have these games in your systems, so you can use these word games. Play that. That will actually make you habitual of using the words, new words. Right. Now, these were the few ways of effective ways to build vocabulary. Now, I want you to tell me if you can think of any other way or anything else that you do to build your vocabulary. Something interesting that your teachers must have told you. What do you do to build your vocabulary? Yeah, be far from you. Okay, good. So some of you have said by watching the movie. Yes, watching the movie actually helps, because when you are looking at something visually, you basically tend to grasp more meanings to that, more words from there, right? So watching good movies, good documentaries, good shows on National Geographic, or some nice good English shows you can. And with subtitles and without subtitles, you will actually learn about vocabulary a lot from there. I see these kids these days, they're learning so much from these English cartoons, like something like Peppa Pig. And there's so many other shows that are running for the kids, and kids are crazy about it. And they're learning so much. They're learning such difficult vocabulary words at their age. I'm stunned to see that. So, these things actually help. You can actually watch good shows to learn English and the vocabulary. Not only that will improve your vocabulary skills, Shruti, it will also boost a lot of confidence. Sometimes we have a knowledge of language, we know the grammar, we know the words, but we don't have the confidence. So that is also very important. Without that, nothing can be done, right? Thank you, Ashutosh. Oh, definitely. You have to read a lot of magazines. Pick whatever you like, right? Any fashion magazine, any lifestyle magazine, any, these magazines which are specific to architecture, interiors. The idea is whatever interests you, Business Today, India Today, everything about politics. There's so many magazines that we have. There's so many weekly magazines, there's so many monthly magazines, fortnightly magazines. So you should always read so that definitely, Harsh. It's a good exercise if you actually talk to your friends in English, because that will boost your confidence and you'll be able to actually learn better. And your friends won't judge you. So even if you are wrong, and that will just give you more and more practice. Okay. Uh, there's so many shows, there's so many talk shows, there's so many, TED Talks kind of shows, and where, there are motivational speakers speaking, or, any travel show that you can see, any show that is related to somebody's biography, anything. These shows are all monitored, their scripts are usually monitored. So they will actually give you a good idea of how to use a vocabulary that will actually help you. Anything that anybody is not clear with? Okay, Manish. Oh, yes, comics can also be very helpful, like good comics and good graphic novels too. All right, now let's start with the types of vocabulary that we are going to study. Now we're going to study about all of these topics one by one, to just to give you a gist of what it means, and how different things mean what. Now, synonyms is basically that words that mean similar to each other. That is synonyms: happy, content, joyful, etc. Then you have foreign words. Foreign words are the words that are picked up from the other languages and has been used in your daily routine language. Connotations. Connotations is basically the words that don't mean literally what it is. It means something else. There's some hidden meanings to those words. That is called connotations. Antonyms is basically the words that mean opposite to each other, right? So if you know the meaning of a word, you need to know the opposite of it also. That also helps you to converse with each other, right? Collocations is basically the combination of words that are used together, right? And they form a different meaning together, right? Now there is idioms. Idioms is basically the words that literally doesn't mean what it is. It means something else. And these words has been passed down from generation to generation. Phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are the verbs which are used together. They are used in a combination and they again come together, form a particular meaning of the words together. Are we clear? Are we clear till here? Any problems so far? Okay, now let's start with the first type of vocabulary that is called connotations. Now, what are connotations? Before that, is there any problem with that? Because actually, I don't want to start anything before the break. Connotations I'm going to teach, don't worry. I'm going to teach every concept one by one, don't worry. Every topic we'll be doing in details, don't worry about it. Now, connotations is basically, you understand from here, words have a literal meaning, the actual meaning, the way it sounds, it is. That is called denotations. Now, connotations is that has the words that has some emotional and psychological association with the word. The word does not mean what it looks like, it means something else to it, right? So that is what connotation is, right? For example, blues, Monday blues. Now, from where did this word blue come in? Now, we're not talking about the color blue. We're not talking about the blue sky here. We're talking about the sadness. Like nobody feels like going to work. That's an emotional condition that is called blues here, right? So this is connotation because that is talking about some other kind of feeling and thoughts and some other kind of image. Am I clear? Now, few connotations can be positive, few can be negative, and few can be neutral, right? The positive connotation means something that makes you feel good, of course. Negative connotation means something that provokes or something that, encourages negative emotional response. And neutral is basically that has no emotional reaction at all. Depending on the intent of the writer, he will choose either favorable or unfavorable. Now, language is subjective in nature. It can evoke different psychological reactions from different people. Now, language being subjective is as per your understanding. Language also differs from culture to culture. Some words have some certain meaning in your culture, some words will have different meaning in somebody else's culture. So every word can evoke different kind of psychological reactions. But now why we are studying connotations here? Because it's a very impressive way to use different kinds of vocabulary. But if we do not know the knowledge, like for example, Monday blues, somebody says, I'm feeling Monday blues. Now, if you do not know what blues mean, you will misinterpret the person and you come up with something else, and you will be confused with what this person is talking about, right? And somebody is being trying to be creative by saying, not instead of saying that I don't feel like working today, I don't feel like getting up for work. Somebody is being creative in using the connotations, right? So, having knowledge about this is very important. Now, to know about what is positive, what is negative, and what is neutral is also equally important. Am I clear? Any problems? As we'll do the exercise, things will become much better and much clear to you. Now, look at this example. Now, smell, fragrance, stench, they all mean the same. Okay. Now, smell is a very neutral word to use for something. Fragrance is a good, when you have a good smell of something. And stench is when something is very bad. You can't even bear the smell of something. That is stench, like, the dirt, the garbage. Fragrance is used for perfumes, for flowers, maybe. Smell is a neutral. If you don't know what to say, you just use a neutral word, that is smell, right? Now, store, save, hold. Now, all mean the same, right? But every word is used in a different context. Now, store is, neutral context. You're storing something, you're saving something. Saving is a positive word. Saving money, saving resources, saving clothes. This is the positive connotation. Hoarding. Hoarding is when you're unnecessarily storing something which is not even required. That is hoarding. That is a negative connotation. When somebody saying you are hoarding the grocery, that means it is uh, a negative connotation. Somebody means something negative. But if somebody saying that, oh, it's good that you're saving grocery for the necessary days, then that is a positive connotation. And storing is anyway a neutral form of saying that you are saving something. Are we clear? Look at all the words. You will understand what I'm trying to say here. What do you mean by neutral, positive, and negative? Economical, thrifty, miserly. Now, economical is that you are wise enough to understand how much to spend or how much not to spend. Thrifty is that when you are very conscious about spending, you don't want to spend too much on something. Miserly is when you don't want to spend at all. You don't even want to spend where it is required to spend, right? So that's a negative thing. Economical is when you have knowledge about, subconscious about spending. Are we clear? Inexpensive, economical, and cheap. Cheap is a negative word. Are we clear till here? Thank you, Ritu. Any problems, anyone, about the connotations about this table? Persistent is basically when you do something, without breaks, with proper intervals, and you continuously are doing something. And persevering is basically when you're putting efforts into something constantly without difficulty and without any delay in the success. Stubborn is when you are like crazy about doing something, you're doing something out of your, some kind of stubbornness. You don't want to do it persistently, but you're just doing it because maybe you want to prove something to someone, right? So that is a difference. Okay, let's take a 5 minutes break and come back, and then we'll do an exercise for this one. All right? Okay. Right. Yeah. Thank you. Now, there are few more examples of connotations that we're discussing. Now, if you look at these connotations, these are positive and negative ones. Positive is aroma, negative is stench, timid, cowardly, assertive, pushy, bold, brash, strong willed, stubborn. So you use the words when you're using for someone very carefully. Like, for example, uh, okay, skinny and slender. Now, we all commonly use skinny word for people who are very thin, right? Now, skinny is a very negative word. You're supposed to call somebody slender. When you call somebody slender, that means you're appreciating someone for their, because they're being thin and beautiful and nice body, right? Skinny is when you're telling somebody, that, oh, you're so skinny, right? It's a negative word. Now, you don't know that skinny is a negative connotation word, but the other person knows whom you're commenting. The other person might take an offense of it, right? Lazy and relaxed. Now, lazy is again a negative word. You cannot say, I'm a lazy person. That means you are telling yourself that you are negative. Am I clear? Hyperactive and energetic. You call a child hyperactive, you are basically telling the energy in a negative way. But you call somebody energetic, that means you're saying that it's a very positive word, that this child is so energetic. When you say hyperactive, it's a negative word, right? So what we're trying to study here is that every word has a emotional meaning attached to it, emotional meaning, right? So you have to be very careful when using the words. Now there are some words that we used very interchangeably and we just use it casually, but that is not very casual if the other person knows about it. Are we clear? Yes. Any problems still here? वहां में कॉन्टेशन वो होता है जब वर्ड्स के एक इमोशनल मीनिंग अटैच्ड होता है, उसका जो लिटरल मीनिंग है वो तो है ही है, पर वो पॉजिटिव वर्ड है या नेगेटिव वर्ड है वो अलग से हमें उसके साथ एक मीनिंग अटैच्ड होता है, right? Bold, strong-willed, and stubborn. Telling somebody this person is stubborn about the project, about his work. That means somebody is very just wants to keep working to prove it to somebody else. Like I don't know what. But when we say somebody is determined to finish this project, that means somebody is very has everything ready, set goals are set that I have to achieve this in a given time. Your plan is ready. Are we clear? So this is what connotations are. Now let's quickly do an example and then we'll move on to the other one. You have to tell which word is a positive and which word is a negative one. Now we're talking about the positive and the negative connotations here. Sandwich is moist. The sandwich is soft. Now, moist is positive or negative? No, no, no definitions will come in the exam or stuff. No, Mohammed Khan, it's not true. Nobody wants to confuse anyone here. Now, sandwich is moist. It is a positive connotation, right? But soggy is negative. We call it soggy when it's not good enough to eat. It has been in the moisture for a very long time. Like the biscuits get soggy, so that means they're not eatable anymore. She's very assertive, she's pushy. Assertive is positive and pushy is negative. This dress is expensive, but it's definitely worth the price. This is positive. Overpriced is negative. The fragrance of roses has filled the garden. It's positive. Get rid of those eggs. The stench is overwhelming. That is negative. The coffee is too bitter. The coffee is too strong for my liking. Bitter is negative. Strong is for positive. Very good. All right. Are we done? How many of you have got all right? Aryan, you will get subject objective type questions for no, actually it's mix objective and subjective both from chapter 2 and 3. From rest, you will get subjective questions. You will have writing skills questions, comprehension passage, letter writing, email writing. Okay, great. So you've got all right. Now let's do a very easy topic after this, and that is now look at this. Look at this list of words. Now these list of words all mean the word advice in some way or the other. Look at the number of words you can use in place of advice. Hmm. Okay, so all of these words means advice. These are all synonyms. Now imagine if you learn the so many words for the basic words, by how much you will be increasing improving the vocabulary. Like for example, even if you learn 10 words out of this, and you can use different words in place of advice, how many words can you use, right? Aid, help, guidance, input, instruction, lesson, proposal, prescription, suggestion, advocacy, caution, counsel, so many other words that you can actually read. Right? So now this is what synonym is. So synonyms mean similar definitions or meanings. No words mean exactly the same. Subtle differences in emphasis. Okay, so synonyms is basically the words that have a similar definition or similar meanings. No words mean exactly the same. There's a subtle difference in emphasis, suggestion, or subtle difference. Like for example, here, there's a very subtle difference. So you can't use any word or anywhere, just casually. You need to really see the context also where it can be used properly. Can be used interchangeably without changing the meaning of the context. It can be used interchangeably, okay, without changing the context. Like I said, that you can use the words, but it won't change the meaning. If I use the word aid instead of help, it won't make any difference. Or guidance, it won't make any difference to the meaning of the sentence, right? So all of this, and this is what synonym is. Now look at the word happy. Just imagine, even if we learn so many synonyms of the basic words that we use every day, we will be at building our vocabulary so much. Are we clear? Look at all the words that mean happy. Okay, I have an activity for you. Quickly go through all the words and then I'll tell you what you need to do. Go through the word one by one and read all the words. They are all synonyms of happy. Have you gone through the words one by one? Okay. Okay, you've read it. Now, what you have to do is that you have to, in your query box, give me as many words that you remember, which are the synonyms of happy. You have to write in your query box as many as words you remember from the table, which means happy. Quickly, I give you 2 minutes for this. Let's see how many words you guys could remember. Very good. So you could remember so many words. Now imagine if you can actually learn all of these words, your vocabulary will be so much better. Yes, you can make it more interesting. Instead of saying, uh, my result came out today and I feel really happy. You can say, I feel so blessed, right? Or you can say, I'm so ecstatic to share with you my result today. I'm overwhelmed to see my result. So you can use so many words instead of just saying, I'm happy. It's so plain, right? Now, similarly, Just the way we have synonyms, we also have antonyms. Now look at the words that are opposite to happy: depressed, disappointed, disturbed, down, grave, melancholy, miserable, sad, serious, sorrowful, troubled, unfriendly, unhappy, upset, discouraged, dissatisfied. There's so many words, right? Yes. So similarly, the way we have the similar meaning words, we have the words that means opposite. And so for example, you're having a conversation with somebody and you want to disagree with somebody, you are talking opposites. So you need to know the appropriate antonym of the word that you're going to oppose to, right? Okay, so you while you're writing also, you need to know the antonyms and synonyms of both. The conversation can go in any direction, right? So antonyms are basically pair or group of words that nearly means opposite. They're antonyms. Antonyms can be made by using a prefix to. I'll teach you what prefix is. And then there are three types of antonyms of the words. The three types of antonyms. Now, what are these three types? Now, greater antonyms are those pair of antonyms which do not have the equal weighting. The words are used uh, as antonyms and as opposite to each other, but they don't mean exactly their opposites. Okay, that's a greater antonym. Like, for example, if I call somebody fair and the antonym of fair, the complexion fair is dark, then you cannot say how much fair or how much dark, right? So that's a graded antonym that you basically, that is the antonym, but you don't know. They are not equal in its meaning, right? That is what graded antonym is. Complementary antonyms are which go together: push, pull, inside out, in and out, uh, up and down. These are all complementary antonyms. Clear? Now, what are relational antonyms? Relational antonyms are those antonyms which has a relation together that has again been used together forever, like borrow and lend, teacher, student, man and woman. These are relational antonyms, right? Things that are always used together and cannot be used differently. Are we clear about these words? Now, why do we need to know about synonyms and antonyms? Synonyms and antonyms. Now that helps us to express our ideas clearly. It has the same role, the role that has any vocabulary is that helps you to express ideas clearly, right? It has a precise communication. You stick to the point. You have a very you know which appropriate word to be used where in terms of synonyms and antonyms. You have a very precise conversation, right? You avoid monotony of expression. You want to avoid The using same words again and again, you don't want to be monotonous, so you find something new to express yourself. Reduce redundancy and to keep writing or speech interesting to the audience. Now you want to reduce the words that are unnecessary, and you want to keep your writing and speech interesting to the audience. When you use different kind of words, you make your writing interesting, and you find, if you express one same thing in so many other ways, of course your reader will be so much interested to read what you are writing. Are we clear? Yes. Any problem so far with synonyms and antonyms? Okay. Now, quickly, let's start doing this exercise, which is about antonyms. And the officer exaggerated the damage caused by the rowdies. So exaggerated, what the antonym of exaggerated would be underestimated. His officer was a very strict person. Strict will be lenient. Next. Pacify. It's excite here, and servitude is not helpful for mental growth. So the antonym will be freedom. How many of you got it right? Tamanna, you knew the answer, or you searched for it? Okay, next. It's the same synonym. Oh, sorry, antonym. It's equitable and derogatory is complementary, the antonym. Okay, so this was about antonyms and synonyms. Now, out of all the concepts, you can ask me if there is any problem first. I'll put a stop here first, and then you can ask me if there is any problem. Then we'll move on next. Any problems that anybody has so far? Man. Tamanna, complementary antonyms are which complement with each other, like, push, pull. There's some words that you always say together, in and out, up and down. These are all complementary antonyms. Okay. Tamanna, I'm so glad. Oh, sorry, Ritu, I'm glad that things are clear to you guys. Graded antonyms are antonyms that do not have an equal weightage. Okay. They do not have equal weightage. Like, light and dark. They don't have, they are kind of, Okay, so graded antonym is basically like, light and dark. You basically cannot say that, light, dark, like how much is it? So there's no equal weightage to it. Okay, before I end today's class, there are two concepts that I want to teach you that are mentioned in your study material. Hmm? Okay. Now, there are a few more concepts that you need to know for your knowledge. I don't think you will get a question from these topics, but just for your knowledge. Now, jargon words. What are jargon words? Words that are used specific to the industry. There are some vocabulary words that only doctors use amongst each other, some businessmen use amongst each other, some CAs use among each other, or politicians use it amongst each other. So there are few words that are, that has certain meaning, and only people from your industry can understand what you're saying. Here, those are jargon words. Now, you should always know jargons of your own industry, because that ways you will be able to communicate with people of your industry much better. Okay. So this is why it is very important for you to know. Okay. Now, like diligence, hard copy, stat, holistic, magic bullet. Now, all of these words are very industry specific. Best practice. You have this business jargons, which is low hanging fruit, drill down, due diligence. There are few words that are used specific to your industry only, right? You should avoid using jargons to people who are not from industry, because that way nobody will understand what you're saying. Uh, Usually, you should only use these words people who belong to your industry, and that's it. Am I clear? Yes. Okay. There's another concept that you should know is of. Okay, that we'll do it later on, which is of loan words or foreign words. Okay, so that was it for today's class. If there is any problem, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll get it going. Rest we'll complete in the next lecture. Hungry. Give him the water. Water. That's when you do one. Yes. Great that you understood everything, Manish, Ritu, Aryan, very good. Good, Shruti. I'll get him. Yes, jargons are the words that you communicate with your colleagues in office or people from your same industry. Any problem, everyone? Okay, everyone has understood. Very nice. All right. Bye bye. I'll see you in the next class, which is on Wednesday now. Just remember to practice. You have to make reading your habit so that you understand about vocabulary. Thank you. Anything else, anyone? So we did about connotations, synonyms, and antonyms, and and jargon words. Rest we will be taking up in the next class. I'm glad people that the concepts were clear to you. Right. Okay. Anybody who has any problem? Okay, so I'll see you in the next class on Wednesday now, and then we will finish this topic. All right, bye bye. Have a good day.